Thank you very much, my dear students, distinguished faculty members, and it is quite possible that some of the parents of the students are also watching this program. I welcome them all. I congratulate every one of you at the 75th Independence Day of India. And I congratulate Dr. Divya Vyas and Professor Bhagat Singh of Social Responsibility Cell, who have organized this program and made it possible for all of us to be together to celebrate the Independence Day. Dr. Divya Vyas and Professor Bhagat Singh has made my task very simple. They have written in their invitation proposal to me that the purpose of this event is to connect our students to the relevance of Independence Day and tribute to our freedom fighters. This is the stated purpose. Now, my dear friends, 75th year. I am also a product of post-independence India, so I can't say that I have been a witness to those days. But I have heard a great deal, and I have also worked with people who have contributed directly to the freedom movement. So I would like to give you in the next maybe 10 minutes only, I will speak, the gist of this great day. Unfortunately, many a times it becomes a ritual for us to celebrate Independence Day. But trust my words, friends, people who tried to hoist this flag were shot down and they fell on the pillar like a bird whose wings have been cut. So this flag should not be taken for granted, nor should this freedom be viewed as something permanent. Huge amount of sacrifices have been made by great leaders of India, like Mahatma Gandhi, of course, is the prime force. Then Subhash Chandra Bose, who could not see the freedom coming to India. It is a different thing, my dear students. When the freedom came to India on 15th of August, 1947, Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi I am talking, was not a part of the celebration, and he was in Calcutta on that day. Why it happened, etc., you should investigate yourself. The man who gave his life for freedom was not in Delhi on that day. Now, there are a large number of people who have contributed to this great success of making this country free. 15th August 1947 is the turning point of Indian national history. There are two ways of looking at it. You can look back and you can look forward. So I will try to look back for a few minutes and then I will try to look forward for a fewer minutes. Mahatma Gandhi's contribution to freedom movement does not require any elaboration. But then I ask myself, Who identified Mahatma Gandhi for this role? How was Mahatma Gandhi inducted into the freedom movement? And a little bit of research revealed, of course, I have been doing that for last several years, that the political guru of Mahatma Gandhi was Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Not many people might have heard his name, or has become a part of unknown history now. It is he who identified Mahatma Gandhi in 1896. And then he kept on persuading Gandhi that, Mr. Gandhi, you kindly work for your own people. You are working in South Africa. You are working everywhere. Why don't you work for Indians in India? It took almost 1896, and it took 21 years for Gopal Krishna Gokhale to persuade Mahatma Gandhi to return to India in 1915. 1896, his efforts commenced. In 1915, his efforts produced results. Gopal Krishna Gokhale. And when Gandhiji came to India, I want to read out those few words so that you know the strength of character of these great people. It is not possible to bring such a great day like getting freedom from the clutches of the Britishers by ordinary men. Many have tried in the past and failed. But this man succeeded. He could mobilize the entire country together. Mahatma Gandhi ji, I am talking. I asked myself, was he a great orator? The history reveals he was an average orator. Mahatma Gandhi ji was an average orator. How could it be that an average orator could mobilize and ignite and electrify the consciousness of this country and bring them together to do what he did, whether it was through that Namak Todo Andolan or Quit India movement and other many hundreds of campaigns that he launched, So we must understand the strength of the character of this great man, Mahatma Gandhi. And particularly for students, it is very important who can give leadership. So finally, when Gandhiji arrived in 1915, his teacher, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, this is very important now, this sentence. He told Gandhiji that, Mr. Gandhi, now for next 365 days, you shall not open your mouth. Who will believe it? You are not fit to comment on India, Mr. Gandhi. His teacher told him, Gopal Krishna Gokhale. And Gandhi was such a great man or greater man. He said, sir, I will do exactly the same way. Gopal Krishna Gokhale asked Gandhiji to go from one village to another village, to hundreds of villages, to thousands of villages, and know the consciousness of this country. Understand this country. Understand the circumstances in which it is living. Why Gandhiji removed his clothes? He was a barrister. He had studied in London in the best of the legal schools, law colleges, best universities in the world at that time. But Gopal Krishna Gokhale told him that if you want to be the leader, you should be leading these countrymen by example. And the best way of giving that example was that you throw away your clothes and be in the same attire in which this countryman lives. And most of the countrymen did not have clothes on their body, so Gandhiji also did not have clothes on his body. You can see the upper part of his body is most of the time naked. That is how leaderships are built. And what did Gandhiji tell when he came to India? These words are very important. This is the relationship between the Guru and the student. The Guru is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. The student is Mahatma Gandhi, who will bring freedom to you. In 1915, Gandhiji wrote, I am entirely in your hands. In your hands means in the hands of Gopal Krishna Gokhale. I am entirely in your hands. I want to learn at your feet. मैं आपके चरणों में रह करके सीखना चाहता हूं. I want to learn at your feet and gain the necessary experience. Who is telling? सोचिए. And then in the next line he says, my present ambition. Gandhiji was also very ambitious. It is not that he was not ambitious, but his ambition was not restricted to selfishness. His ambition was highly expansive to include all of us who are living now even. So what did he tell? My present ambition is to be by your side and as your nurse. Gandhiji is telling Gokhale Sahab that I want to be your nurse and attendant. Attendant. This is the way they have sublimated their egos. I want to leave the real discipline of obeying someone without love and look up to it. So he virtually surrendered all his freedom to his Guru. This is what the leadership is all about, my dear students. It is this kind of a character who has risen above selfishness, above narrow interests. And as I said, Gandhiji was not an orator. He was an average orator. But he was a great listener. He was the most attentive listener. Gandhiji has written in one of his books that I use my ears as eyes. Please note it, what I have just now told you. He was such a great listener, such an attentive listener, and a poor speaker. He was using his ears as his eyes. These are his words. I am using my ears as my eyes, because eyes can be deceived. Eyes can see what doesn't exist. That is why we get cheated. But the ears are directly connected to your thought process, your brain, and it distills information. And that is why when you are in deep introspection, my dear students, you must have seen, when you want to think deeply what you do, you close your eyes and then want to understand, which means eyes do not help you to understand. Please appreciate the greatness of this great man. And even if it touches us by a fraction, it will create magic in our personality. Now, friends, so much for the great man who brought freedom to this country. I am not undermining the role of great people like Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh. As I said, there were many and many who were hanged, who were persecuted, who were shot dead, who spent their lifetime in jails. etc. Large number of people. We should pay our respect to every soul that has made it possible for us to taste the fruits of independence that we are enjoying today. At one time, it was simply not possible. Now, there's so much for looking back. As I said, 15th August 1947 is the turning point in the Indian history. And so far, I have been dwelling on the past. Let us look at what happened after 1947. That can become a little controversial issue. Whatever I say, somebody can always contradict it, you see. But if few things are there, nobody will contradict, I'm sure. First thing is, what are our achievements? Our biggest achievement is that we have remained a sovereign country. We have been able to protect our independence, our integrity, our sovereignty. This itself is a very great achievement. And in that, our defense forces have played a great role. I want to tell my dear students that we became free on 15th August 1947, and on 24th August है 15 अगस्त बीच में सिर्फ महीना है सितंबर का, and on 24th October we were attacked in Kashmir. So how many days separated? Hardly 70 days. और आपके ऊपर अटैक हो गया, and it is your defense forces who protected you. And after 1948, then you have had a series of attacks on your freedom, on your sovereignty and integrity. The first major one came in 1962 from China. In 1965, again, we had a full-fledged war. And because I was living in the border areas, so I have also seen it very closely, in Punjab. And then again in 1971, we had a war. And thereafter, we have been having not the wars, but a huge amount of skirmishes and battles. Like after 71, the major conflict was the Kargil in 1999. And then you have seen 2020 again versus China, where we have lost a large number of our people. So, to my mind, if there is one great achievement India has been able to make in post-independent India, it is that we have been able to remain an independent nation, and we have been able to defend our integrity and sovereignty, and our defense forces have played a big role. They deserve to be remembered. They deserve to be respected. Secondly, and very importantly, India is now free from famines. यहाँ अकाल पड़ते थे, 50, 60, 70% of Calcutta's population was wiped out in 1942. But after we became free, we have been able to eliminate this this disease or this stigma of mass starvations. And today, if you see every day, you are watching on the YouTube and so on, that 80 crore people of India are being given. This is the figure which is coming from the highest level. 80 crore people of India are being given free food during all this COVID crisis period. From where has that food come? We must ask ourselves. We are a country known for famines. And today we are able to give food to 80 crore people of India without charging any price. How this miracle has become possible? And at the root of it lies these simple words. You had what is called Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. These were the people who could visualize the change and who steered the change. Apart from these two things, whatever I will say will be encountered by this opinion, that opinion, etc., etc. So I am not going into it. India has a bright future, despite all problems, despite all vicissitudes and fluctuations that will come, both in the, let us not get into that, in all kinds of obstacles are there, but I'm sure with the countrymen behind and having tasted the fruits of freedom, they will be able to protect it, preserve it, promote it, and India will become a more prosperous nation in the times to come. We should have a growth mindset. It is very necessary, my dear friends. We should have a optimistic disposition. We should never be cowed down by our circumstances. We should always rise above our circumstances. And I would like to conclude this address by telling you something you will not believe it. If you go to the North Block, which was built by the Britishers, I have worked in that building. It is the first building towards the left side of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. When I entered that building in 1972, I read on the arches. I stood for a while because it was quite high. It is written in the stone that freedom never descends upon people. Freedom never descends upon people. People have to rise to attain freedom. This is what the Britishers have written. Likewise, you should remember it, this Parliament House was built by the British. And now only we are thinking of or creating or trying or whatever you say of creating another building to house our parliament, which basically means we had a limited democracy. Even before 1947, that process had started in 1919. It gained momentum in 1935. And I will say 80% of India's constitution was derived from the 1935 Act, which was passed by a parliament which was operating from the same building from where the present parliaments are working. So you should know the history of this country, at least to some extent, so that you can connect the present to the past and derive meaningful conclusions. With this, my dear students and friends and colleagues, I wish everyone again all the best and look forward to a more bright, a more prosperous, a more satisfied India for everyone. Thank you very much.